my old recording studio. I used to actually record in here. As a matter of fact, there's an interesting story about that little lid there, but we don't have to talk about that. The reason I no longer do videos here is because if we actually look through the window, you can see through the blinds, there's like some train tracks there. These are, even though they look pretty old, these are active train tracks. So the train was coming by here all the time, and that was a bit of a problem. So that's why we moved to a different location. So this, however, was kind of like my mess room. This is where I had like a bunch of my messy things. You can see some Warhammer stuff in here, some more Warhammer stuff in there, some God of War stuff there. This is actually from God of War Ascension. I have like a statue here. Yeah, look at him. Good old Kratos. But today we're here to look for something different, something special, something that has a lot of value for me. And I keep it in a box. I really should just like, you know, keep it in a better place, but it's this thing right here. Some of you might be wondering, what is that? This is an old power bank. But the special thing about this particular power bank is that it was given to me by Hidetaka Miyazaki. The year was 2015, and it was the second time that I actually went to E3, and then I came to find, while I was at E3, that Bandai Namco was there, From Software was there, and there was actually going to be a special presentation about Dark Souls 3. Naturally, I hadn't actually been invited at the time, but you can bet your ass I worked my ass off to get an invitation to go and watch that particular presentation of Dark Souls 3. Ahead of that, I actually ran into Miyazaki and I got to take a picture with him while he was standing in line. I think he was getting his badge for the E3 show, because everybody needed to get a badge. He needed an exhibitor's badge or whatever, and he was in line to get it, and I was just like, holy crap, it's Hidetaka Miyazaki, I didn't take a picture with you. And so I took a picture with him, and then I was able to work my way through some of the PR people at Bandai Namco to get an invitation to go watch the presentation about Dark Souls 3. And at that presentation, at the end of it, Hidetaka Miyazaki gave everybody one of these. This is it's just a regular power bank. It's not even that powerful, but it does have, you know, some branding from Dark Souls 3. But the most important thing is that Miyazaki himself handed it to me. Later that year, I went to Gamescom. And while I was at Gamescom, I actually got to have a sit down with Miyazaki and two other interviewers. This is where you guys might have seen a picture on the internet of both me, Globku, and Miyazaki praising the sun. I know I'm dropping some lore on you guys for those of you that weren't aware, as kind of like a little intro to this discussion that we need to have today. But let's get into the main topic. Last night at the Game Awards, Elden Ring won the most coveted award of Game of the Year for 2022. This is something that was particularly important to me. I was just telling you guys about how it was for me to meet Miyazaki back when I was playing like this, you know, Dark Souls. At the time, I was probably playing Bloodborne, I would imagine, because it was right before the release of Dark Souls 3. And when Elden Ring was announced, I could tell that it was going to be a project that was going to be incredibly ambitious. And after having played Elden Ring, it is hands down, it is just one of those games that kind of defines a generation almost. It is one of those games that is extremely important. And I know that some people are going to say that, you know, if it's that good, why aren't you playing it right now? Because there's been arguments to that effect. And it's like, the thing is, it is also an extremely long game. It is very long. It's got a lot of content, so it makes it maybe not as appealing to replay as often as we've replayed previous games, but it doesn't change the fact that your very first playthrough through Elden Ring is one of the best experiences that you can possibly have in a Soulsborne game. This is my personal opinion. I adored it. I'm probably going to be replaying it here pretty soon because all of this stuff happening around the game is kind of like igniting igniting my desire to play through it again. And there's still one ending that I still didn't do because I didn't want it to I didn't want it to do that specific ending because I believe that I was going to be missing on a cutscene if I was to use the same save file to do all of the endings. Some of you guys will already know what ending I'm missing, but I'm not going to get into too much detail about that. I just wanted to say that it was extremely important for me for this game to win for a number of reasons, but another very magical thing that happened is that not only was this the game that won Game of the Year, it also won a bunch of other awards, by the way, which for those of you that weren't paying attention, I'll list them all off now. So we got Game of the Year, obviously. Then it also won Best Game Direction. It won Best Role-Playing Game. It won Best Art Direction. And for the last 2 years at the Game Awards, it also won Most Anticipated Game. And previously, before the Game Awards, there was another award ceremony, which is the Golden Joysticks. And in 2021, it won the Most Wanted Game because it was not yet at the time. And this year, it won Best Multiplayer Game, Critics' Choice, and Ultimate Game of the Year. So Elden Ring has just been completely racking up awards. The latest numbers indicate that this game has sold over 17 million copies. And it makes me so incredibly happy. If you guys remember, pretty early on during the release window of Elden Ring, I posted a video where I specifically said, I want From Software to make so much money from this game. I want them to have to buy a bigger building just to store their money. I want Miyazaki to open the door of From Software headquarters and there's just like piled up money pouring out of the door. That's what I want for From Software. And some of you guys might be like, but why, Rurikhan? Why do you want so much success? Because it is extremely important that games with this business model score big and lead the way for this industry to learn that greed is not the way forward, that simple iteration is not the way forward. You need to innovate, you need to branch out, you need to take chances. And I know that some people will say that Elden Ring is just open world Dark Souls, and it's like, number one, doesn't matter because that sounds like a fantastic thing. And number two, it is so much more than that. And anybody who's actually played the game and paid attention to what is going on in the game and actually appreciated, the different things that were put into the game for you to just sit there and enjoy it. It's mind-blowing how they were able to do this and not do any of the shady things that this industry usually has a tendency to do, such as pre-order bonuses that give you in-game advantages, give you in-game items, such as in-game shops that sell you things, such as even cosmetic DLC. This game doesn't even have cosmetic DLC. Do you understand how important that is? This is Game of the Year in 2022. It is a multiplayer game that has co-op and PvP, and it doesn't sell you cosmetic DLC. And I think that it is important to recognize this. I think that it is important to support this game as hard as you possibly can. Because this is the business model, in my opinion, that needs to be supported, that needs to be incentivized. And like I said, there was something really cool that happened last night as well, because if you think about it, the two games that were always in contention throughout the most important categories of the Game Awards, what games were those? It was God of War Ragnarok, which, by the way, fantastic game. Congratulations to Santa Monica. It also went on to win a bunch of awards. Christopher Judge won best performance as well, even though I think that there needs to be a lot more recognition for the person who interpreted the character of Sindri, because Sindri is such an amazing character in God of War Ragnarok that it's just like, in a way, I almost wanted to see Sindri get nominated for best performance as well, but at that point you just have like, the best performance nominees would all be in God of War Ragnarok. But the reason why it's so important that it was these two games is because, once again, if you look at God of War Ragnarok, what do you have? You have a game that doesn't really do pre-order nonsense that has an impact in game. Yes, they do have the special editions with Mjolnir, just like Elden Ring has a special edition with Melania's helm and like the Melania statue and all of these things. But these are all physical goods, which is fine. The thing that always annoys me is when you are purchasing a game and, it feels like you're being nickel and dime because, oh, this edition has this thing, that edition has that thing. And it was just so good to see two games that are just two good-ass games, two full, complete experiences actually receive all of these awards, completely sweep. One of the things that I said at the end of my live stream was, take note, video game industry. Take note of the games that received all of these accolades, of the games that received all of these awards. Pay attention to them. What were they? These were complete experiences from beginning to end that were released as complete games that didn't fall into the trappings of that the industry currently has of nickel and diming their player base, of releasing a game with a bazillion DLCs and cosmetic DLCs and all of these different things. I think that this is tremendously important and marks a very important moment in the industry. Even though I suspect that we're gonna continue to see, the shady practices. They're not going anywhere. But it was good to see the developers, the effort that they've put into these titles be recognized. And I'm hoping that all of the publishers that were complaining about Elden Ring, I mean, I'm sure that you guys remember those people that were saying like, oh my God, Elden Ring's UX is terrible. Oh, players have no standards. How can you not have a mini-map or an arrow marking your way to every single little quest that you have in the game? How come you don't have all of these features from our modern open worlds? That's because if you bastards spent as much time actually making a good game as you spend working on all of these convenience features that you think are important, you have all of these features, all of these UX things that you do in your games, and then every quest is the same thing over and over again. It's like, oh, go do an assassination mission. You've done one, and then you give them 200 more to do. They're fundamentally the same goddamn thing. If you just make a good game, if you just had some passion like these teams pour into their games, we would be in such a better place, wouldn't we? And also for the people that were complaining about Elden Ring UX, specifically the people from Ubisoft, you guys have a lot of nerve. Y'all have a lot of nerve when you're selling people coin doublers and XP boosters. You just need to shut the hell up, all right? Shut the hell up and learn a thing or two. Take a couple of notes. Take some notes about the games that actually sweep the game awards this year. And it makes me tremendously happy that these were the games. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed it. It's cathartic, really, to talk about these things. And I hope that Miyazaki continues to to do his best with From Software. He reinstated his commitment to putting out good games. We received an announcement for Armored Core, which will be exciting to go back to Armored Core. I feel like, I'm not like a huge Armored Core fan. I did play some of the games back in PlayStation 3 and I enjoyed them. I thought they were pretty good. But it's going to be very interesting to see what a post-Souls Armored Core is going to look like. You guys excited? Did you guys enjoy that? Let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.